Thanks for joining us today. This is Dale from QGate, and today I'm going to demonstrate and discuss the configuration of a really cool utility that comes with intelli-CTi called the Virtual Telephony Server, or VTS. As its name implies, the VTS is a virtual phone system connection that allows you to simulate both inbound and outbound calls for demonstrating intelli-CTi, for testing of user workflow options, and for user training by making fake phone calls. It allows you to make or receive calls from any phone number and to any phone number without the need or hassle of being tied to a real extension. I already have intelli-CTi configured to use the VTS, so when I start up intelli-CTi, where it normally would connect to my extension on the real phone system, in this case it's connecting to the VTS, which is represented by this control console you see on the screen. The VTS console would never appear in a real implementation when you're connected to a real extension, but it does give you a console through which you can manage your simulated calls. It allows me to configure inbound call behavior, like designating what number the call is coming from and what number the caller is calling to. I can also configure it for different behavior on outbound calls. In this case, I'll tell it to auto-answer when I make an outbound call to simulate someone actually answering the phone when I call them from my CRM system. For this video, I'm going to assume that you've used intelli-CTi before, or at least you've reviewed the overview videos for basic use. But when using the VTS, you can do just about everything you would with a real phone call. For instance, if I have Abby Barrow's record selected in this list and I want to call her, when I click on the intelli-CTi dialer, I'm presented with any of the phone numbers associated with Abby's contact record. And when I click dial, the VTS will make the call for me, even simulating the audio I'd hear when the phone's ringing. Since I have the VTS configured for auto answer, after 3 rings the call is shown to be answered, and I can run through whatever call flow scenarios I wish, just like I was on a real call. I can open the notepad or use the call assistant to manage connections to activities, cases, or opportunities. I can make my notes, and at the end of the call wrap-up screen comes up and I can take care of any after-call wrap-up. When I simulate an inbound call, I can immediately see the records that intelli-CTi identified by the caller's number, and I have my call control available to answer the call, navigate to the account, contact, or lead who's calling. When I click on the contact name, it takes me to the record, and again I can run through whatever user processes I need to simulate or demonstrate or test, just like I did on the simulated outbound call. Now, configuring intelli-CTi to use the VTS is very straightforward. Here I've outlined the steps for your reference, and you can come back to this list if you need to, but let's run through it on a client so that I can show you. From the Start menu, go to All Programs, QGate Breeze Settings. From the settings, you have the ability to configure many aspects of the user experience, as well as how intelli-CTi interacts and records data in your CRM system. I happen to be using intelli-CTi for Dynamic CRM here, but these configuration settings are similar for all the CRM systems that we integrate with. We'll double-click on the intelli-CTi service, and then select Configure intelli-CTi Devices, which is where we configure our connection to the phone system. Normally, we would configure this to monitor a real extension, like I have here for extension 111, but we're going to set up this client to connect to the VTS instead. Simply click Add and select the VTS from the list. This connection doesn't need any more configuration, so I'll just click OK. Now I'll select the VTS as the device we need to connect to, and we'll close and OK to save, and that's it. So as you can see, it's quite easy to set up intelli-CTi for demonstration, for testing, or training, making it much easier to run through different scenarios without needing to use specific phone numbers or tie up actual phone lines. Now, for other information on QGate solutions and informative CRM subjects in general, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, the QGate Knowledge Base, or the QGate blog. Thanks for joining us today.